Yo. Nice. Hello and welcome back to Dukes on Switch. Back today with a Legacy League with Dark BANT Maverick. This is a list that I've been working on for a little while now. I really like it. I think that Oko is pretty sweet. Uro, of course, is pretty fantastic as well. I added in the Bayou and the Plague Engineers pretty recently due to I guess a negative part of the matchup is anything against go-wide strategies is pretty hard, so we don't have a great way to clear the board, and Plague Engineer does just that. It's great in any sort of mirror against maybe Maverick or Death and Taxes. Any tribal deck, it's really good as well. So yeah, Plague, of course, kind of took the format by storm when it was first printed. A lot of tribal decks stopped playing, so Plague obviously went down in favor, but I think recently it's sort of come back a little bit, but not as much as when it first started, so that's kind of good for us. We do run a fair amount of X1 creatures, especially humans in Noble, Mum, and Thalia, so I'm always happy not to see it. The mana base is probably where I want to see, I guess, get reps in and have a look at it. We're currently running a Tundra, a Bayou, 2 Savannas, 2 Trops, a Forest, and a Plains as our fetchable lands. All the fetches that I use can get dried up, which is nice. But I do want to see if the 1 Bayou is a stretch. We do also have Birds of Paradise to make sure we can create that black mana out of more than just the Bayou. So hopefully it sticks. But one big printing for this deck was obviously Skyclave Apparition. I think for any deck that's currently playing it, it's a huge printing. Death and Taxes, Maverick, some of the blue-white Stoneblade decks that are kind of coming back and obviously playing it as a removal spell is really nice. And it's been pretty good for us. There is a small downside that you do get... obviously your opponent gets a 3/3 or a 4/4 sometimes, but usually our creatures are big enough to deal with those, which is nice. So the downside of Apparition isn't at all too big. My only thought in this match, or in this deck list, is Meddling Mage, and if I want to run 3, in the matchups where I want to see it, I obviously want to see it pretty early. Decks like Doomsday, Show and Tell, possibly Elves. But I decided to run a Gaddock Teeg as kind of the third Meddling Mage because against a lot of decks it fills the same role, but it gives you a little bit more reach. So Meddling Mage against something like Ant or Tez, you could name Adnors, you could name Past in Flames, you could name Tendrils, but all of those are shut off by Gaddock Teeg, which is really nice. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility there. And of course Teeg is a card you can find with Green Sun Zenith, so it does give you a little bit more flexibility with knowing that you can draw into it, because obviously you can't Green Suns for a Meddling Mage. So I think the ability to be able to Green Suns for it as well makes it better than the third copy of Meddling Mage. And it's been doing pretty well so far, especially against things like the mono blue Urza decks. Turning off both the Karn lines and also the Echo of Eons lines is really nice. It's been pretty solid. Shifting Ceratops is just a card that I want to try out. I think it's pretty good right now. It's good against a lot of the counter decks where I want it. So decks like Rug Delver, Snow, it seems pretty good. Especially if I can keep it from being Swords to Plowshared, it's pretty hard to deal with. And then the other card is Nissa Vital Force, which I really like right now because it makes Wasteland a good card in some of the grindy matchups where it's not that great. So decks like Snow, of course, have a pretty basic mana base, and Wasteland doesn't do a whole lot that matchup, and usually I tend to side some out. But for the ones that stay in, I can now make them 5/5 threats, which is great because it turns them on as being something that Snow actually has to deal with. And if my opponent is using a removal spell on a land that otherwise wouldn't be really doing anything, I'm going to be pretty happy with that. So that's pretty cool. That's about it. I'm still with Knight of Autumn, but I did see some list going back to Kusali Pride Mage just to have a lower overall, I guess, mana curve, which is fair enough. I really like that Knight has that extra value of sticking around after it's done its duty, which is really cool. So of course, Kusali Pride Mage you have to get rid of to actually do anything where you're trying to interact with an artifact or enchantment, but Knight of Autumn comes down, it destroys the artifact or enchantment, it sticks around, and then your opponent has to deal with the Knight of Autumn. It can gain you some life where that's irrelevant, which Kusali can't really do. Kusali is pretty good in some of the more aggressive matchups, where you might have a Stoneforge Mystic build. That extra Exalted really helps. And it also has some advantages to being an instant speed ability, so you can use it on your opponent's turn. So against something like Death and Taxes, if you're wanting some interaction with the Jide on their turn, then Knight of Autumn isn't really going to give it to you, because usually a Jide is coming down at the end of your turn and then attacking on your opponent's next turn. So that's where Kusali does kind of shine. But I think for now I'm pretty happy with Knight, especially with the 5 mana dorks and then Dryad Arbor as well, making a 6th. We do have a few ways to actually ramp into it on turn 2, so that's pretty good as well. Hey Jack. Yeah, this deck would probably be up there. I'm not too sure. I guess the jewels are getting pretty expensive these days. And even little things like, I think Uro is still like $50. Yeah. But yeah, this should be really fun. Let's get into a game and see how it goes. Pretty keen to yeah, try it out. Jack, are you playing any prelims coming up? I see there's quite a few coming up, which is kind of nice. Playing a Legacy League with BANT Maverick. I believe that's the deck. We are using play points. And we'll play a league. And we'll switch to the in-game show. There we go. Nice. I need to get a transition going. You've been trying to get the Abzan Toolbox deck working in Historic, and it is not garbage. That's cool. I've seen some people talk about a Maverick style deck in Historic because there are a bunch of cards kind of for it. It's hot garbage? Okay. I thought he said not garbage. Yeah, it's tough. Even if, you know, like if Maverick was a deck in Modern, I'm not sure what it would be targeting, which is kind of hard to say. And especially in Historic, I'm not too sure if there's like a real kind of need for a Maverick deck. Up against Ash. This hand is okay. It's pretty rough, because there's a lot of matches where Wasteland is just irrelevant. Ooh. I don't really like this hand. It's only a 1 creature hand. I'm going to quickly see what Ash has played before. Ashmosis. Oh, also a streamer. Interesting. MTG Goldfish. I'm going to mulligan this. I do want a little bit more to do, and this is so close, but unfortunately the green mana isn't there. Hey Lynn Chalice, welcome. Cool to catch you streaming the other day. Yikes. Alright. I think it's just keep with probably these 5. I could see the second Wasteland going down as well. It might just be something like this. Now the 7 doesn't look too bad. Folk. Ponder, okay. What do they do with it? Hey Hef, welcome. Hope you're well. At least the nice thing about Misty here is that it doesn't really show off that we're Maverick. There's definitely a consensus that something like Windswept Heath could definitely show off that we're definitely a fair deck. But Misty Rainforest, a little more unknowing. Just gonna go for a Savannah here and play the Thalia. There's some thought of playing the Hex Drinker, but I think Thalia just taxes my opponent a lot more than the Hex Drinker line. Opponent forcing pitching Delver. Interesting. This is going to be Rug Delver. So the opening hand would have been pretty nice, actually. Well, I think here we really just have to slam this Skyclave. As much as I would like to play around Daze or another Force, we don't really have the time for this. And it's going to stick, which is a huge advantage for us. With Dreadhorde hitting even just once, it's so hard to come back from especially from just a card perspective. Yeah, Gitrog decks are really interesting. I've seen some EDH lines with Drog Skull something. Swords is interesting. We're definitely attacking the Oko. And then it's between Hex Drinker or Knight. I feel like Hex Drinker is a little bit better. Because the Knight I don't really want to get Oko'd. And if the Hex Drinker gets Oko'd because I don't have an answer for it, then I might be able to take down the Oko next turn. Could also take them off Trop. Hex Drinker, hold up swords and wasteland them. But it's really a case of, is this wasteland right now doing a lot more for us than it is for them? Is this wasteland better for me than the Trop is for them? And I guess with 2 cards in hand, that's what I'm unsure of. We can currently beat a Tarmogoyf or a Hooting Mandrills with swords, which is nice. So it's not like a creature coming down is going to be a big issue for us. Knight's only a 3/3 as well, which is a little bit rough. So I'm going to play the Hex Drinker and just tap out for it. It kind of means that if my opponent does Oko it, it means they don't really have an answer in hand, which is kind of nice. It might mean they don't have Bolt, which means I'm probably happier to play the Knight as a 3/3. Okay. Well, this most likely means they have Bolt. They're actually going to get aggressive here. That's interesting. Didn't expect that. Okay, there's Bolt. Scoos. Okay. Attack Oko. I'm not too sure yet. I know that Stifle and Uro, I think, are the 2 big giveaways for Pokepile, but I'm not too sure what the other characteristics are that I should be looking out for. Here, I'm pretty happy just to go with Scoos and hold up sword. Jace? Okay, Ozman. My opponent attacking with the food first, which most likely means they want to make the Scoos a 3/3 after attacks. Hey, Mr. Mahadu. Hope you're well. Yeah, the snow-covered mountain as well makes it a little bit interesting. Okay. Another Bolt. Rough. I can Swords now, which is better for my mana if I don't draw a land. Doesn't play around Daze, but I think that's okay. It's 1 less Daze for the Knight, which is nice. But you can see how this Oko has just taken over the game already, and I've just had to attack it instead of attacking my opponent. I'm going to take them off the trop now. Strand or Delta? Mum's pretty nice. I don't really want to trade here. Yeah, I kind of want to give myself one more turn because if my opponent doesn't have an answer for the mum here, they have to also elk it instead of elking their own food. They also fetched away from that brainstorm, so nothing on top was good. They also fetched a basic and not another green source, which is interesting. I'm fine with this. Rough. All the bolts. I haven't seen the White God. Just gonna take this here. You White God to make you cry. I could get Dried Arbor here, but I think I'm okay just holding it up for now. Swords is pretty good. Definitely in a tough spot, because the Misty puts us down to 3 as well. I mean, they could just have the 4th bolt. Yeah. I mean, I can swords my own dude, but that does nothing here. I go up to 6 and then I take 6. Boarding's going to be interesting. I do like the path. I don't like the collector oof. Not too bad for a Mulder 5. It's just the Okos are a really big issue. Shifting Ceratops is pretty nice here as well. I don't think I want the Plagues, but they're interesting at least. I could think of something like 2 Plagues and taking out some amount of Thalia, which just aren't that great in this matchup. I kind of like everything else. Cradle's also a card that I'm not the biggest fan of against Rug because they're so good at just 1-for-1 removal. That I could see something like this. Yeah. I think on the draw though, I'd probably go down on some number of Plague Engineer. This hand is... It doesn't have white mana. I can Green Sun straight away for Dried Arbor, but that's about it. mean, my first few turns I can Green Suns for an Arbor, then Green Suns for a Noble Hierarch, but not where I want to be. This is better. I don't mind keeping this and bottoming the Knight. Oh, sorry, the Beast. My opponent's also playing Basics, so Path isn't as good as it is against traditional Rug, which doesn't play Basics, because Path to Exile, of course, is pretty nice when your opponent is only playing dual lands. Hey G5, welcome. Hope you're well. Really need another land here. Gonna go for a Trop and play Sylvan Library. Just really hope this sticks. That's pretty big. Hope you're well as well. We're currently down a game against what looks to be just normal Rug, but they are playing Basic, so perhaps this is just a Pokepile style version. Ponder shows not to shuffle. Okay. Delver. Delver's more than fine. It's a little late for the mum. I think, yeah, I just want to go with the Plague Engineer. I'm going to be a little... I do want to get at least one card off the Sylvan Library, so I don't mind this. Plague allows me to name Wizard, which also turns off Dreadhorde Arcanist, which is nice. So this is where I really want to be as a Maverick player in this matchup, is dealing with a creature with another creature or permanent of mine, and then having to make my opponent deal with it with another card. Really want to find a Skyclave here. We do find a Wasteland. Put on top. Put on top. Play Wasteland. I'm gonna play the Knight first. Take out the Trop. It's actually an interesting one. I think it is the Trop. Especially for something like Return of Nature, to deal with the library would be pretty rough. Yeah, and if they lost their Trop in game 1 and didn't go for a second one, so I feel like, yeah, where Jack says that they only play one Trop, that's probably correct. Preordain. Yeah, I mean, you know, Return of Nature is a pretty good card, so I wouldn't not talk about it. It's definitely a card to consider when talking about Rug decks. Preordain's going to be interesting. Okay. So they made the food a 3/3. feel like now they have to have something like Submerge or Vapor Snag. Swords is pretty nice. Probably should have kept another land in case they counter this, because now I can't really cast another removal spell, but it happens. I mean, I'm gonna still attack both at Oko. But my opponent did play like they didn't have a removal spell, so I don't think I get punished too hard by attacking Oko with the Knight and then Plague Engineer at them. I think just to be safe, to at least deal 2 in case they do have something. Yeah. And to be fair, that's not something that I really want to be drawing, so I am going to try to shuffle my deck. Really want to find a Skyclave. Rough Tumble. Wow. That's going to be pretty good. Definitely didn't think about Rough Tumble. If anything, I was thinking about Blazing Volley because of Dreadhorde Arcanist. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay. Put on top. Pay for this. Arcanist is fine. Library, wow. Yeah, pretty tough without Abrupt Decay, but we do have some answers in Skyclave. Uro is actually pretty nice here. My opponent only has 1 card left. Put on top. Put on top. Attack Oko. They could try to double block, but that won't work out well for them, which is nice. Hey Adrian, welcome. Hope you're well. I think it's just Oko, draw Mum, and then Path the Dreadhorde. I'm just going to do it now, in case they have, like, Force and Negation. I assume they would side it out, but I would hate to get hit by, like, some sort of counter magic. I know they play a basic mountain, at least. Yeah. Opponent also at 20 life with the Sylvan Library, so I definitely don't think we're in a great position here. Only taking one. Hey Wolf, if you're on their side, I'm sure you could be pretty happy with a 5-0 with Rug these days, but a little bit tougher for Maverick. But I'll see what we can pull out. Interesting. Oh, okay. We can't cast the Uro for some time. I don't mind Double Mum because it allows me to try and just get one online through this Oko. Yeah. Put on top, put on top. I mean, if they have Bolt, they have Bolt. Can't really play around Bolt. Hey, Baby Bite. Oh, no Bolt. Okay, that's a huge win for us. So that's a little bit of a good sign. Hey, look at boring. Yeah, it is tough. I mean, I don't think Oko is overly powerful. It's just the sub game that it creates for games like this, where, you know, both games I really haven't had an interaction with my opponent outside of just attacking an Oko, which is part of the game. I've got to accept it, but it's definitely not what I want to be doing. It doesn't make great gameplay or great content. It just buys so much time as well. Absurd design mistake, I will admit. Okay. We do have the Wasteland to deal with the second Oko if they don't have another green source, which is kind of nice. I feel like I just have to go for the double pro here. Put on top, put on top. Hit your drop. What do they have? Chain Lightning. They can't flash back this, which is nice. Pro red. Pro green. I really hope this Dreadhorde actually deals with the Mother of Runes through Chain Lightning instead of going at me, because that probably sets up a pretty aggressive play from my opponent. They go to 8. What's Chain gonna do? Chain goes to Mum. Okay, that's more than fine. We have more coming. Don't worry. Another bolt. Oh, 5, 6, 7. I need put on top. I can't pay here. I don't think I pay the 4 life because at most I'm saving 3 from either food or bolt. And I'm definitely attacking with the Ceratops. Put on top. They might even just block here. They see they're only out. Oh, no blocks. Okay. We can give it trample next turn, I believe. Did they just fail to find? Ah, of course, they can just bolt me. Oh, they can just bolt the mum and then attack for 5. No, they need one more removal spell. Alright, they'll go digging. Yep. Rough. Not too much we could do there. The shifting Ceratops was really good. I mean, even with the Oko in play, just buying them time, the Ceratops put up a pretty good fight. I'll keep this hand. It is a double Oko hand, which is a little bit spice, but I don't mind it. I'm going to lead on the Caracas and pass. It's probably the card that I least care about. That's fine. Mum's gonna be okay. Obviously, Thalia's not a great turn to play here. D&T is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna go for the second white in Tundra because of Skyclave. There is some thought to not play Thalia so we can play Oko next turn, but we'll see how this pans out. Especially because, you know, Skyclave or Knight aren't the greatest here. And Wasteland isn't as well. We get a free attack, which is nice. Hey TJ, sadly at the coast, so a little bit of a drive, especially after work. Yeah, D&T is nice. Obviously not the start that I want, but there are things we can do. And they're just gonna hold up 2 mana, so they actually missed a land drop there, which is pretty good for us. Another Skyclave. Oko Teeg up to 6 is really nice, because there's not too much my opponent can do about that. Batterskull's fine. I really hope my opponent doesn't draw a land here, but even if they do, and it's not a basic, we can Wasteland before we play the Knight to hit the Batterskull, but Swords on Thalia is actually fine. Are they just going to try to kill the... Wow, this is really aggressive. Because now we get to Skyclave the Mum. And pass back. Knight's pretty nice now as well, but I think because we have the Oko, we're okay with the Batterskull being there. And just to pass with 3 mana up, that's pretty interesting. Mum. I think just making Batterskull a 3/3 here is fine. They could return it if they really wanted to. They're not going to. Now we get to play Mum and pass. And even if we draw a land next turn, we get a 2-spell, which is pretty nice. Oh, they have Jet. Oh. And Swords. Wow, okay. At least without another removal spell, we can save the Oko. Ah, okay, they're going to allow us to trade, actually. Which I think is better here. Because we're all attacking Oko, it takes 4 and goes to 1? Sure. Nice. Okay, so now we get to... It's actually an interesting one. 2, 4, 5. I think destroying the Batterskull here is pretty good. And then trying to deal with the Jide the following turn. I could 3/3 the Jide, but I kind of want to get a position where I can hold it off. So I think what I like doing is just going Knight, blow up the Batterskull, make a food, and that can block the Stoneforge. Making a food is also interesting, but either way they get to kill the so if I make a food and turn it into a 3-power Oko, they can still attack for 3 into it and deal with the Knight through the Jide. They can deal with the bird as well. And if I create a food, then they can neg on the food, but then they can't kill the Knight. So I think it's better just to make the food a 3/3 here, just to really expose these Jide counters, and then also play a bird. Because it's not doing anything in my hand, and if it untaps with extra mana, then I'm pretty happy for that. That's fine. Interesting. So to keep the Oko alive, I can put the food in front of the Charming Prince, which can't actually... The Jide can make the food a 2/2, but it can't make the Charming Prince a 4/4. And then the bird can just go in front of the Stoneforge. So I'm not sure why my opponent didn't kill the bird here and actually get into the Oko for at least 1 damage. But maybe they, for some reason, just want me to exhaust my resources this way. This is fine. It's only a little thing there, but I would have used the Jedi counter after damage in case I had something like Dismember. This is actually a tough one because Mum's going to be pretty good. I guess I could make Mum a 3-3, but then they'd start beating down. Yeah. At least if they use the counters here, they don't get... Yeah, they won't get a 2-2 here. Which, maybe the life game was better there. I will elk this because the Yoko's dying either way. Yeah, I'm not coming back from Powerless Jailer. Thalia can come out. Plague Engineer can come in. Path can come in. That's probably all I want. I don't think I want the Nissa, as nice as it is. I could drop the Skoos if I really wanted to for the Nissa. I don't mind this. Shifting Ceratops is interesting because of the reach, but that's about it. Let's see how this goes. Probably won't bring Nissa in on the draw, but I think it's okay to have a Planeswalker against D&T, especially in a pretty grindy matchup. A little bit stifled there by having a pretty heavy 3-mana hand, but no acceleration, which is obviously an issue for a deck that doesn't have a turn 1 play in like a Hierarch or Bird. I'll definitely mulligan this. Yikes. I don't think I can keep this. It's just, it doesn't really do anything. This at least is something. These two, because this answers everything else. I don't mind starting with Wasteland so that my Savannah doesn't get hit. And I don't have too many great turn 2 plays other than Green Suns for a mana source. So I don't mind holding back the Savannah for now. No turn 1 play for my opponent is interesting. Thalia is okay. Because we have the Plague Engineer, I'm more than happy for that to happen. And Hex Trigger here is actually pretty good. If I don't draw land next turn, I really want the Swords to Plowshares for Mother of Runes, but Wasteland here is pretty nice as well. Alright, what's a start? Flicker Wisp obviously deals with Hextricka pretty well. But we'll see if we can draw into a land. It has to be a fetch land, really. But yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't think there's too much to gain from this, unfortunately. Yeah, because even the first strike can... if they equip Thalia there, yeah, and the port's just going to do it. We can't beat that. Unfortunately, just mulligans happen sometimes. Rough. If we keep going like this, I will definitely do a second league, because these are pretty fast losses, to be frank. Just the I definitely do want to keep the opener with just lands, and then the hand of just Noble Hyrax and birds really isn't going to do a lot. I guess it's a little bit more of a thought about keeping in post board because we have Plague Engineer to deal with Mother of Runes. But in the opening games where you don't have a great way to deal with Mum once it's online, it's just a really tough time to try to keep hands without removal, at least in your opening, because we don't have ways to filter through our deck to find removal. Tough. We're actually, yeah, sorry, we're not 1-1. We are the big 0-2. Maybe even the I am currently running 23 lands, which is pretty light if you consider 2 of them being Dried Arbor and Cradle, and then 4 of them being Wasteland. I could see 24, or transitioning the deck towards Once Upon a Time, but then I'd probably not want to play the Okos, or at least play less, just to have more space for just creatures. The one nice thing about Skyclave Apparition is you can find removal off Once Upon a Time. There were some players playing Shriek more, which is pretty cool, and some of the black splashes. But yeah, to be able to find that off once is really strong. But hopefully get some good games next. I think if I lose the next one, I've never dropped a league, but I think we might try to start fresh, to say the least, because an 0-3 start is never fun. Alright. Let's do this. Your cat. Playing lands last time. This is a little bit rough with the Horizon Canopy, but I'm just going to keep it. If we draw into any land, we're doing pretty well. It's pretty good. Caracas. I'm going to go for Hierarchy over Green Suns for Dried Arbor, in case they have double Wasteland. Loam it back. It's pretty good. I think here it's just going for Library. That's really going to allow us to power through. And Lance isn't a deck that usually deals incremental value. It's just Dark Depths to win. They could be playing Elvish Reclaimer, but I guess we'll see how this pans out. Alright. I'm going to pay 8 here. And try to overload here. To go for a Scooze next turn. They didn't dredge, which is really interesting. Still no land. Okay. Well, now I really like just going for loam here. That's a very good draw. I do also like knight here. Put on top. Put on top. Wasteland. Knight. Hit your stage. Pass. Still no loam. I guess they can't cast it if they have nothing else in hand. Ah, interesting, Jide. Yeah, very cool to see Brian Cook put more into his, Oh, this could be green-white depths. Okay. Interesting.
What's interesting?
Alright, Google. Triome, okay. Interesting Triome to play in this deck. I think what I'm going to do is just go for this, and then go for Cradle, because that kind of answers the Tabernacle, which is nice. I think it's just going to be a shuffle with Green Suns, to be fair. For Bird, and then pass. It's new lands? I haven't seen it, so that's pretty cool. They did loam, that makes sense. I'll pay for the... What do I want to do here? I think just pay for the bird and everything but the last creature. Pretty lucky there. There's some thought to not wasteland, or to wasteland in my turn to play around crop rotation, but if I'm getting rid of the Tabernacle, that's all I really want to achieve. I guess I'm not playing around Thespian Stage either, because Thespian Stage copy Tabernacle's also pretty rough. See what my opponent does. Yeah, they have a stage. I probably should have... I guess I did shuffle, so... Oh, I didn't shuffle, no. It was the Savannah on top. MTGO, yes. Yeah, the Oko and Mum are going to be there. Rough. Now I've just time walked myself. Really stupid. Just didn't think about the fetch. also some thought to just attacking over 3 turns, but obviously against Zenith it's pretty rough. Opponent not dredging. The issue last turn was that if I sacked the Savannah for Wasteland and Wastelanded the Tabernacle, they could copy it with the stage. Alright. Green, green, green makes this pretty easy. Put on top, put on top. Play this. We have the swords for Marit Liege as well if they go for that, so... Just gonna pass here. The Windswept Heath can also get a Plains, which is nice. And even though the Ramanap's on top, I think I do just want to go for a shuffle here. Delicate Exploration. Okay. Maze is pretty good. Hey Danielle, thank you very much. Hope you're well. Delicate really nice here. I'll have to go back and watch this game because I think Thalia early on would have been really nice. I'm definitely going to fetch. Just go for a basic. Alright. Just going to tap like this. Hey, episode 25, welcome. Hope you're well. Bayou's kind of nice. Oh, Wasteland's perfect. Wasteland's really good. I mean, they could have Crop, but just play it like they don't. I mean, if we can steal this here, I'd be very happy. Will they play Swords? Wow. Did not expect that. At least we have another knight. I'm not going to look at the list. It's kind of cool to see a fresh list, so I'm pretty happy just to play on. I'm going to keep these alive for now. Put on top, put on top. Bayou. I guess I just lose to depths if I tap out for Knight, but don't have much going out for me. Double maze. I guess Questing Beast is a good way out of this if I can get there. Then I play Crop? Wow, okay. Mm-hmm. Just gonna 6. I do want to shuffle at the end of my turn, but I don't have another basic. I definitely want to see more of my opponent's deck, so I don't just want to concede into these mazes. Because there are definitely lines that get out of it, and it's really fetches into Questing Beast. So there is a route to victory, it's just a pretty tough one to navigate. Valakut Exploration, a huge printing for the deck. Really cool card. Loam's okay. I know they have the enchantment land, which is kind of cool. Yeah, Questing Beast is really nice against the mazes. QB is amazing. Alright. I'm just gonna swords this. I could keep the swords for like a Merit Lage or a like Primeval Titan if they're playing Primeval Titan. They're playing like a Field of the Dead kind of end game. But I don't mind just going after the Reclaimers. I don't play Kaya in this list, but I do play it in the Abzan list, which is pretty relevant in a matchup like this, as just an extra way to deal with the graveyard in game 1. Put on top, put on top. I'll play Hex Drinker. It's kind of cool. Exploration on top, okay. It's gonna be pretty good, but the clock is definitely a huge resource in this game. 3 mazes. I mean, Valakut Exploration could just get there as well. And there's crop rotation, so obviously there's a main deck card. Bloodstone's pretty good, but I kind of like that it means that I don't have to pay for my creatures. Especially because Cradle isn't around anymore, there's no real need to keep trying to keep these creatures around. I was just really trying to get to these fetches early on, but it's not going to happen. I'm going to make my opponent at least use their mazes. The tough part is as well, I don't really want to get rid of a use the knight here to get green mana for the scavenging ooze because I don't want to lose my basics. Ditch all creatures and level up Hex Drinker. Yeah, the Blast Zone definitely took me off that path, unfortunately. This is fine. They only put Blast Zone at 2, which is interesting, which means I don't have to pay for the scoos in my upkeep. Looks like they're just going for Blast Zone here, and then maybe replaying it with Loam. Ah, it also hits the Sylvan Library, which is really relevant. If I had Script Ranger, I could get my opponent in a position where I attack with the Knight. They use the Thespian stage copy of Maze as the Maze and tap it, and then I could put in Scrib. I guess I don't need to because of the Knight untapping, but then I could Wasteland the Tabernacle and not have to worry about this one, or even Wasteland this one, and make sure that they can't copy a forest or plains in response to stifle the Wasteland, which is really nice. Come on. You can definitely tell that this this was made in 2002 or 2001. But the explorations are going to be a pretty good machine at trying to kill me. Just looking at what else we've seen. We've seen Dark Depths. We haven't seen a field yet, so I don't think I really have to think about field or prime time in this deck. It could definitely be a one-of that we just haven't seen. Skyclave Apparition, okay. That's a card I didn't think of. It's good to know against. Loam, Mox, Savannah, Jukabog. Yeah, this game was definitely over for me once the Cradle was gone, but it's good to see what my opponent is actually playing. I will pay for this. We draw the second Thalia, we play Mum. We pass. And now Blast Zone for 1 is really good. But I think these Valakuts might kill me with the Skyclave this turn. Interesting, they didn't pay for it. That's interesting. Skyclave. Looks like the full 4 perhaps. Hey D_A. Thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. And there's Field. That's what I wanted to see. Hope you're well. Nice. Ley lines I really like. I don't... Nis is a bit far-fetched, I think. Meddling Mage is also interesting as well, but I think it's mainly just the ley lines. I think the Thalias I can definitely skimp on. I don't mind the 1. Collector Oof at least turns off Mox Diamond, which can be a pretty good play if my opponent starts on an aggressive Mox Diamond start. I think that's it. I don't think I want this, but it's definitely interesting. I think that these other cards are just better. Blast Zone's obviously something to consider as well with the amount of 1-drops that I have in the deck. I don't want to cut on the Plows because of the Elvish Reclaimers. And I'm not sure if they play any like grindy creature decks or creatures in the sideboard for decks like this, like Tireless Tracker. Yeah, they could definitely play Uro. I just didn't see it. Yeah, a Path over a Stoneforge could be a lot better. I'll definitely keep this. Pretty sweet hand. And I'm just going to go for a Savannah. I'm not going to go for basics early on because my opponent might also have a Ghost Quarter in their deck. I assume my opponent has Force of Vigor. But basics early on is pretty tough. Trop isn't really where I want to be. Library's pretty good. Yikes. Oh, Skyclave, of course. I am going to go after the Thespian stage here, just because right now it can't copy a basic. I could also go after the Caracas, which could be an issue if I draw into something like Questing Beast. Takes them off double white as well, but with Sylvan Library I assume they're going to be hitting more. It is going to be the Caracas. Draw one card off the library. Oath of Ghouls is a pretty sweet card. Skyclave. What does Skyclave target? Ooze. Interesting. Definitely getting rid of the Reclaimer. Oh. A little bit yuck. Oath of Ghouls is pretty sweet. I know that a Brazilian player, Saito San, did really well with it. Playing cards like, I think he had a Spore Frog build, which is very cool. And also a build with Shriekmaw, which is pretty sweet. Pretty good against the grind. Yeah, I think we're just going to lose to field here. Yeah. We definitely can't beat this, so... Yikes. I'll definitely play out the league. We only have 2 more games, so we can see how that goes, but definitely not the start that I thought I would be on. The clean 0-2 so far. I've really considered extra Sylvan libraries in this list. I know that Matt Sol's a massive fan of 3 copies. I mean, the hand was, you know, Leyline is a card that's obviously quite good. Turning off their library, their graveyard as a resource, but it was a hand that I definitely didn't want to draw an extra land in the first 3 or 4 turns. You're building Dark Maverick? Very cool. I think that Dark's probably one of the best position variants of the deck right now, which is really good. And it's not too expensive either, which is good. I played a list that Matt Vuk played on 90s MTG and did pretty well with it. And it didn't play a Cradle, which is pretty nice. So there's definitely a few versions that you can play that are a little bit more budget friendly if you're getting into the deck for the first time. Yeah, Tireless Tracker could definitely be a good third spot for it. This is okay. It's a turn 2 Oko, so... the only thing that I don't like about Tireless Tracker is that it is a pretty big bolt target. But to be fair, a lot of the decks right now are kind of in that position. Swamp Pass is pretty interesting. It could be Reanimator where I want to hold up the sword, but I kind of just want to get this Oko online, so... They could have like Dark Ritual into the new Expert. They didn't have it there, so... The big advantage of Tireless Tracker is that it is a card that generates advantage, and it's also pretty good against Oko because if you time it well, it can come down with some pretty nice features. I think it's Collector Oop here that I want to get rid of. Sack a creature, sack a land. But yeah, I'm definitely not off Tireless Tracker. It's just a case of trying to find a spot for it. Because right now, Uro is kind of in the position that I would want it. Veil's not too bad here. I'd probably just get rid of the sword. And then play Oko next turn. Drop. Savannah. Drop. probably okay. Savannah's, Scrublands, and yeah. Oh, I could definitely play black. Yeah, that's very true. I'll discard the sword. And then hopefully get Questing Beast online next turn with the land off the top, if they don't wasteland me. I assume they're going to wasteland me off this Savannah here. They're going to Thoughtseize or Inquisition me? They're going to wasteland, okay. Uro's pretty nice. That's fine. See, now I feel bad for the opponent, because now I'm playing Oko, which isn't a great feeling. I'm not a fan of Oko, but now I can feel the power. Oh, Ritual? Okay. Liliana, nice. I'm going to discard Uro. Oh, nice. Okay. So they can trade with the food. Oh, they can't trade with the food here, which is nice for us. We get to play Excavator and... no, we can play around Lily. Yeah, it's really rough to see Liliana Vale out of the format. Kind of a sad spot. I don't actually mind Thalia here, because then next turn I definitely get value off the Ramanap. Hey, I'm Giffy, thank you very much. I will definitely hydrate. Tough spot for my opponent, but not unwinnable. What do we want to sack? Probably just want to sack the food, to be fair. They'll tap like this and they have 0 cards in hand, so... Thalia still taxing is pretty nice. I'm going to discard the Questing Beast and keep the Ramanap. If we draw a Wasteland, it's pretty nice. Just get back a Misty, because then we can go and get... I guess Dried Arbor's there. Maybe I'll play Dried Arbor, because then we can sack it if they have any sack effects. This is an interesting one. I don't really know what I want. I guess if they're playing like actual Pox, I kind of want Gaddock Teeg for things like the Abyss. Probably don't want Collector Oof. Swords is interesting, but I'm not too sure of their creature base, like if they're playing Bloodghast or if that's really old school. Deafening Silence is interesting because of the Dark Rituals, but otherwise kind of meh. I think it might just be this. Definitely interesting to see. This hand is fine. Yeah, Nissa could definitely be pretty good. Definitely attacks on a different angle. Thoughtseize, alright. Take the Yoko, yeah. Take the Yoko. 100%. Gonna play the Mana Accelerant. Sinkhole. That's aggressive. Just gonna go for Dried Arbor here and play the Mum out. If I can get Questing Beast online, I would be very happy. Alright, 3 mana. What do you got? Lily. Oh, that's a good one. Please go after Mum. Yes. Can we draw a land? I guess we have Skyclave as well, so it's not the worst. I guess we have Skyclave as well for something like the Abyss, so not too bad. I'm going to give him a 3/3. It makes things like Smallpox and Innocent Blood a lot worse. Ah, yes! Yes! I'm going to get rid of the Dried Arbor, because at least this makes blue mana. But we can kill the Liliana here, even if we don't draw a land. Ooh, that's tempting, though. I think it's correct just to get rid of the Lily, though. Just to get it off the field. Woof. Yeah. All right. Curse Scroll's pretty cool. Sphere. Okay. I am just going to concede the Sphere. I'll bring in Nissa, and I'll take out 1 Thalia. Yeah, it looks just like an old school Pox list, which is kind of cool. Pretty happy to keep this, especially with Sylvan Library. Probably the best card. I couldn't get the Dried Arbor, unfortunately, because I already used it. Pretty good. Oh, what? Interesting play. They milled. Well, we'll definitely attack this. Huh. Savannah Sylvan Library. Surely that was a misclick. Guess we'll find out. Interesting Wasteland. The thought is, although I don't want to pay 4 for these cards and save my 4 life for other ones, I kind of just want to fill up my hand. So I don't mind just like put on top, pay for this. Land, play Noble, attack for 2. This also means we can get Dried Arbor if we really want to. Sinkhole. Okay. I know what's on top, so I'm just going to fetch here. Skyclave is nice, and Knights are really nice. I'm going to pay for this, and I'm going to put one on top. Play a land. Play a Knight and pass. My opponent could have something like... They're going to keep sinkholing me, which is interesting. Especially when I have a Knight in play. I am going to draw the other Knight there, so... We get our game against Smallpox. I feel like yeah. Kind of need to do another league after this. See how we go. Camel Druid. Interesting card. Dr. Rock bringing the spice. No, that's a very cool deck. This is rough. The mana is just not going to work out here. This is better. I'll keep this. And I think I will just bottom the Dried Arbor. Although I do want to keep it as a second land, but... A win, I know. I know. Oh, it's going to be Depths. Okay. Interesting. Probably taking Sword. Alright. I'm gonna play Bird because it's a blocker. Means that next turn I could just play the Mum. Stage, okay. If it's Dark Depths, they could have had it. Because you can crop. Okay. Stage is A-okay. Library. So I could definitely see them having Lotus Petal or Elvish Spirit Guide in hand, which means that next turn they have it. So I think I do want the Sylvan Library down more than anything else. Mum giving protection only does so much against a deck that probably has access to Step as well. Needle. Okay. Probably naming Oko, but you never know. Okay. That's fair. Do they play the Depths? If they have crop rotation, they could crop for Urborg and then play Hexmage as well, which would be pretty rough. Krakus is a fantastic draw. Ooh. A few options here. I feel like it's just Caracas into Skyclave. Oh, of course they can't crop yet. They don't have a land to sack. My apologies. Green. Probably going for Sylvan Scrying here. Yeah, probably for Urborg. Go for Wasteland, okay. Oh, but not playing it. Okay, they're playing it now. But allowing me to untap with it, that's very interesting. Surely they use it. I think just Green Suns for Knight here is what I want to do. So I'm going to put this on top and pay for this. Wow, they let me untap. That's crazy. Just going to go for it now in case they wasteland me in combat and I can't use my mana. I could also go for a Ramanap here. So the Wasteland on the Karakas gives me a small tell that they don't have an answer for Karakas. So there is some thought here for going for Ramanap, but I think Knight's just a little bit better. But you never know. Knight would be a 4/4. It would give me access to Wasteland. It wouldn't give me access to Karakas. So I actually am just going to go for Ramanap here. Outside of Bajuka Bog, my opponent doesn't have a way to deal with my graveyard, so if they want to bog me, that's probably more than fine. They don't even have a land. Put on top. I mean, if I'm at 11 or 7, it doesn't really matter. I don't mind just going for Wasteland here. Attack for 4. Obviously, it's a little bit card advantage to play this. I'm just going to play the Karakas. I'm not going to get too cute. The Gabba test, I'm not too sure. I have a feeling it's pretty soon. Maybe next weekend? I believe there was some issues with the team. Oh, it starts tomorrow? Okay, I'm way out of it. Guess I could have like Spirit Guide, Spirit Guide. Okay, thankfully not. This makes it pretty hard for them to deal with anything. I should have attacked with the mum because then it's a 2-tone clock. That was definitely incorrect. Hey Loverboy, welcome. Hope you're well. I will play the Oko. Hey Jeron, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Yeah. Pretty rough for my opponent. I do like the Path. I don't mind taking out the Collector Oof. Some number of Thalia. Plagues are interesting because you can turn off Hex Mage, but this matchup is in a pretty good position that I don't really feel like I need to. Meddling Mage is interesting. I'm gonna try out Meddling Mages over Thalias. Especially for things like Not of This World, Crop Rotation, depending on what they've played. It can turn on things like Karakas a little bit more, or even a Swords to Plowshares. Pretty good hand. Keep this. Opponent could take the bird here if they wanted to be really aggressive, because then I just have 3 drops. Well, they do. Can we draw into a mana dork? No, but that's pretty close. Hey Rabo, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Nothing? They kept a one-lander with Thoughtseize? Okay, there we go. That's better. Needle. I'll definitely fetch in response. I probably want to get a Tundra. And then Needle away. Probably naming Oko, but could also be going after Wasteland. Okay. That's fair. Beast is not the draw that I wanted, but it's probably the draw that I deserved. Nearly skipped that turn. There's Depths. Okay. You're from Spain playing Rug Delver? Very cool. I know Spain has a pretty good scene in for Legacy. A lot of Spanish people usually come in, which is very cool to see. Can we hit a land? Come on now. Come on. Oh, that's pretty close. I'll take it. I think I just want a bird here instead of a Noble Hierarch. Because it can be a blocker if I really need it. Spirit Guide. Surely not Decay on bird. That's a very aggressive Abrupt Decay if it is. Scrying. Okay. Scrying for Thespian Stage perhaps? Play stage. Do we draw land? Okay. Uru is nice here because it takes us up to 22 life. We do run Dried Arbor in this list. Alright. So they have one card left, and they know about the Swords to Plowshares. I am going to allow them to untap, because I can block with the bird and then give pro, and even if they have step, they can only do one. Loverboy, you should be able to find the list on Cardboard Live. It should be around here on the screen. It's the back of Magic cards. Alright. Let's block. And then before damage, I don't have to Swords it because we have Oko, but I kind of want to. Just to get it off the field. I mean, an Oko on an empty board is pretty nice. And if they want to use like a Nut of this World here, I'm pretty happy for it. Yeah, that's more than fine. Because now the Nut of this World is not going at the Oko. So that's actually pretty nice to be able to take that away. Because my opponent's on 0 cards here. So Oko turns it into a 3-3, and then it's pretty good for us. That's really tough for my opponent. Oh, you're on mobile? Okay. That's good to know. I'm sure James is aware that that happens, but... yeah, very interesting. Crop's definitely a live draw for my opponent. Another Dark Depths is a live draw. Obviously a few to play around. I kind of hope my opponent plays something here. Because the one card in hand... Okay, it's a Lotus Petal. Interesting. I would have kept that in hand. Because as unknown information, this as what could potentially be a Lotus Petal is just so threatening. Make this a 4/4. This means I don't have to block with the Knight for it not to die to the 3/3, which is nice. The Green Sun Zenith has a merch store, and it also has a place where you can buy singles through Card Hoarder and TCG Player, and the greensunzenith.com takes a commission from those, which is kind of cool. Keeps the site alive, which is nice. Yeah, we get the 50 play points. Obviously a 2-3 league is not a great way to go. There's probably some considerations to change up the mana a little bit. I felt like the mana was what was really keeping me from doing things. Even a second forest, especially against lands, we saw a position where I had a knight, but I didn't want to use the knight's ability because we only had 2 basics in the deck and they were both on the field. Cradle's an interesting card because Cradle's obviously not great against decks that can 1-for-1 you really well, or that punish you for going wide. So a deck like Rug Delver is really good at keeping you down to 1 or 2 creatures at most at a time. And then there's decks like Snow that run Dead of Winter or maybe Terminus or Supreme Verdict that can really punish you for going wide. So Cradle, when it's good, it's really good. But I am considering changing the list so it's like an extra basic and the Cradle just isn't in there. Because we do have these amount of creatures to really power out everything, so... That's an interesting proposition, and it's always nice to show off decks without Cradle. But I think I will leave that for another day. I have some cool stuff coming up. I have an article with Rich Cali going over the matchup with Rug Delver, which should be out by the end of the month. I have a stream this weekend with Mr. Lee, who is another streamer. Coming on the channel to do probably a Titan stream. We'll see what we want to play, which should be pretty good. And then I have a podcast coming up with Phil Gallagher from Thraben and Brian from Bosch and Roll on YouTube, looking at D&T vs Maverick, which should be really cool, and just kind of the ins and outs of the decks, how they're different, why people play each one, which is pretty sweet. But you can find the series already online. I believe the latest one was Lands and Depths, which is pretty sweet, which you can find here. But otherwise, I'm out. You can find me on Twitter here. You can find me on YouTube here. You can, of course, find me at thegreensunzenith.com. Which, yeah, really looking to start pumping out at least 2 pieces of content a month, which would be really good on top of the Maverick monthlies, which are kind of a monthly wrap that goes over what's happened over the month within the different archetypes. I do want to get back to Punishing Maverick as well for a little bit and play with that, because I think that Punishing's in a pretty good position, especially with the Blast and Clots, of course, is kind of nice. So that should be pretty sweet. If anyone knows of anyone who's playing Legacy right now, let me know and I'll raid them. Otherwise, I will see who's playing. And it looks like True Hero is playing a pretty cool deck. Yeah, Joanne, I'm sure you'll find some time. At least I hope you do. Is that True Hero? Nice. Alright, all the best. A huge thank you again to the new follows, the new subs. I'm Dukes on Twitch. I'll see you on Sunday morning for what should be a pretty fun stream. All right, take care, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.